Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew First Culture podcast. Once again, thank you so very much for joining me today, spending a little bit of time with me. This is Jeremy again. And today is, as I'm recording this, June 18th of 2023, which just happens to be Father's Day. So before I say anything else, I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. It's a tough job. It is a very tough job. I've had a very unique, if you want to put it in these terms, I've had a very unique career as a father. I have two biological kids that I have been with their entire lives. A lot of that time was me basically being a single father of them. I also, for a very long extended time, had two foster sons that, again, for a good chunk of that period, I was a single father of them and my biological kids. So that was a really rough time. I also have four stepchildren, which I hate that word, and that's the only time I'll ever use it, just to truly describe kind of the situation. But my wife, brought four biological children into the relationship as well. And so, like I said, a lot going on. Then later on, we adopted one of the foster sons. So, now you kind of add that into the mix. You got the whole mine, yours, and ours type thing going on. We've always tried to look at it like ours, and I feel like for the situation we jumped into and the life that we have been given and lived. Speaking of my wife and I feel like we've done a really good job as far as that goes. It's just trying to look at them all just like our kids, and all the exterior things going on there, it didn't matter, which of course is not perfect. Anybody that has a blended family will definitely agree with me that it is never perfect. But I just kind of throwing those few details out there because it truly has been a lot of moving parts. I feel like I say that a lot lately because everything in my life seems to have a lot of moving parts. But just looking at my life as a father, there's so many little pieces that I've had to kind of adjust to or feel my way around or learn by mistakes over and over again. Another big piece of this that I didn't even mention was when my wife and I got together, my kids were, I believe, under the age of 12-ish. So no teenagers for sure. Around 11 or so was my oldest, I think. And so that was the end of my experience level as far as dealing with kids. Well, she brought teenagers into the mix, which absolutely threw me for a loop. And I've spoken about this some, not nearly as much as I probably should, because there's probably a lot of people out there that could use a little bit of my story in those situations. But a truly just falling on my face is the best way to explain how well I was parenting teenage kids that I had no idea how to parent. And And so lots of mistakes, lots of times that I don't even like to look back on because of, who I was, how I acted, just not the person I want to be, not the person I wish that I was. So, like I said, my time as a parent has been truly a a war of attrition as far as I guess I've had have come at the cost of so many failures and losses and mistakes. But you know what doesn't, any wins, any growth, any good things in life, it's pretty much the way it is, right? So I guess that's just to be expected. But I say that to just kind of lay some groundwork and say that, as I mentioned, there was a lot of time in those earlier days as a parent, especially the first 10 years that I spent as a parent. A good percentage of that, a good portion of that, I spent as a single parent. And I don't bring this up in any way to draw any attention to myself or make it sound like, putting myself above anything else. Please don't think that. The reason, and really the only reason I bring this up, and truthfully, I try to avoid this conversation a lot just because I don't want it to be perceived wrongly. But the only reason I bring it up is because I know there are single dads out there dealing with, that life. And it's frustrating and it's hard. I think the most frustrating thing is that I felt was the fact that, single moms, they and I don't even know how to say this in a way that doesn't make me sound like a total jerk, because I promise you I'm not. But I it feels like single moms get a lot of that attention and a lot of that resources and help that they need. And I don't want to take that away from them. But as a single father, it was very hard to get the same resources, to get the same, help that I needed too. And so I know it's a long, hard road. If you're on that right now, understand that, you're not alone. There's lots of people out there dealing with the same thing. The great thing is you're obviously doing it because you love your kids. You're doing it because you may be the only stable thing they have in their life, the only structure they have in their life, the only safety they have in their life. I don't know your situation. I can't speak to everybody's situation in one conversation. But it could be the case. And it tells you that that's worth fighting. It tells you that this is worth every bit of pain that you're going through, every bit of the struggle that you're facing, every bit of the overwhelmed feeling that you have to deal with every day. I know what that's like. A part of this, and again, I'm sorry, it's like every podcast I feel like I bring it up, but this is very important. A big piece of what we do as a cadre with the developing high performance program that I am so lucky to be a part of is right out of the gate. As instructors, we sit down with with the students and introduce ourselves, and not only introduce ourselves as far as who we are, as far as fire service, uh, our career in the fire service, as far as family, all those things, which are important, but we give them an example of a bad day. And if you've heard me say this before, I apologize for bringing it up again, but what we do there is we become raw and vulnerable to the point of just, and I've heard these students say it over and over again. They've never seen somebody that vulnerable. They've never seen somebody allow themselves to open up like the instructors did. And then of course we give an example of a good day, and it's very intentional, you know, going from sympathetic to parasympathetic in your nerve system and your way of thinking, and that just leads into the rest of that class. But the reason I bring it up is because the the class that I was a part of in Atlanta, this was my bad day, and I don't think I've ever shared this over the podcast. And again, these are times that, I don't know how much is okay with this conversation, because it's still very much a source of pain to my own kid. It's very, very touchy because my kids, they lost their biological mom. Really, to be honest, due to a lot of the things that caused this conflict back in those days. And so, quickly, just with those few little details, it's a really tough subject to know what's okay to share. But I also know there's so much to it that people out there need to hear. And so I'm trying to figure that out. Anyway, getting back to it, my bad day that I shared was in those times. It was in those times that I was a single parent of not only two biological kids, but two foster kids as well. Two foster kids that required a lot of extra work. And trust me, I was doing it because I wanted to. I fought to keep those kids because I love those kids. I still love those kids. They're both still in my life, and I can't imagine my life without them. But it was the hardest time I have ever been through. I didn't really have a lot of support system as far as just mentality. I mean, I had a great group of firefighters that on several different occasions did a lot to take care of me and my family. Please don't think that I'm saying I wasn't supported at all. But for mental health and for like that type of thing, I just didn't have a lot. Really, probably due to the fact of my own just not reaching out and finding those, or just due to the ignorance of not really knowing what to do to help myself. I don't know. I would say I could very easily pin most of it on me. I should have done more to take care of myself so that I was a better father to them, because there were a lot of times where I just I wasn't a great father because I didn't have much to give. I was completely drained. It took everything out of me to be a father and to maintain a a career as a firefighter. Gone for 24 hours. Luckily, I was blessed with people that were placed in my life to take care of my kids on the days that I was gone. Because if it wasn't for that, there's no way that I would ever be able to do that, obviously. And that's truly that was truly a blessing. People were placed into my life that took that on, and I could never be more thankful or even enough thankful to those people to keep us moving, keep us in the game, keep me in the fire service, because if that wasn't the case, then I would have had to do something else. But anyway, just thinking about those times and kind of what I shared with those students was, the times that I remember getting up early and getting 4 kids ready for daycare on days that I was on shift, and getting them to the daycare and getting them dropped off and getting back into my car about to head to work. And there were just some days that I knew I needed to just break myself down right there, listen to some of the saddest music that I could listen to just emotionally dump everything I could before I went to work. Because if I didn't, I, I didn't want to bring that to work, and I didn't want to break down at work, which is maybe honestly probably one of the best things that I could have done if I allowed myself to do that. Just allow myself to be raw and vulnerable with the people that cared about me the most at that time. But I didn't understand that. I didn't know the power behind that. So, I would just sit there and try to let every bit of that emotion go before I went to work. But I share that again. I share it because I know there are people out there. I know there are moms too. And I'm not trying to take away anything from single moms trying to do it on their own. My wife was a single mom for a long time. You know, working hours, double shifts as a nurse, and trying to find herself and trying to figure out who she was, so that hopefully one day she could find a partner that truly could complete her life. And I'm putting words in her mouth right now, so don't tell her I said that, because that's probably not how she looked at it. But I do know that she was trying to figure out who she was and work a job enough that supported not only her but her 4 kids and everything else that was going on. It's a lot. So regardless of who you are, if you're a mom, if you're a dad, if you're doing it alone, I appreciate you. Your kids appreciate you. Your kids love you. They will hopefully someday. I say hopefully because I don't know that I have seen it yet. My biological kids are still, you know, they're in their teens. And so I haven't truly had the conversation of them finally seeing all of that work. I will tell you, some of the most painful things that I have ever felt is the pain that, those kids and I don't want to say caused, the pain that I have felt because of some of the choices that those kids have made, because I know how much I have invested in them. I know the sacrifices that I have made for them. I know the pain and the struggles that I have went through for them. But they're just kids, right? I can't hold that against them. I hope someday they will truly see everything that I've done for them, because I have loved them so much from day one. So again, if you haven't got to that level yet, if you're still stuck in that cycle of giving and giving and giving to your kids because you love them and because you are a great parent, and you're just not getting any of that back, I'm right there with you. I walk in faith that one day it will come back. You know, they will understand what I went through for them, because I love them so much. And so I'm with you there. Hopefully someday that'll happen for you too. But it's funny because this is the second time I started recording. This the first time I was going in a whole different direction, and I just wanted to touch on, these things that I've been talking about first, but now it's turned into the whole story. But to go back and kind of almost full circle, I talked about going on shift, this morning, so I'm not able to spend time with my family on Father's Day. But honestly, I'm blessed. I'm thankful that I've had the last 4 days at home, because they have been great days. I've really struggled here lately with energy and with, man, I don't know if it's age or if it's just something going on with my body and my system, but this summer has been a very, very mild summer compared to, Oklahoma's summers up into mid-June that we've had in past years. But even that being the case, man, I am so frustrated about how little I can do physically outside without getting completely exhausted compared to normally. Years past, I would spend literally 8 hours working at home outside, because we've got 10 acres. A lot of that's not exactly a true picture of it. We have probably 5 to 6 of those acres that are just heavily wooded, and we don't do much with. So, we have 4 to 5 acres that are truly needing to be taken care of. We've had lots of animals in the past. Now we don't have as many. So it's not even near as much as we used to do, or near as much as it was required of me. But it has totally just sucked the energy out of me to be able to do what I need to do what I used to do. And I can't even say that I've been able to come close to maintaining it to a level that I've done in the past, even last year. I'm just really struggling. But even that being the case, the last few days have been great. The last few days, yesterday I struggled to get moving in the morning, but ended up being a great day. My youngest son, which is the son that we adopted out of foster care, our youngest child of all, he's 12. He's starting to become more of almost a single kid because the older kids are moving out. The middle-aged kids are doing more on their own, and so he's seeing a lot of time to himself with us, which for him is honestly probably the greatest thing that can happen to him. He just has struggled a lot in different areas, and I think the more attention just individually that he gets, the better he is. So, he's asked to go swimming with me a lot. And sadly, just like many years of the past, I always find reasons that I can't. I'm trying to get the flower beds finished. I'm trying to get the yard mowed. I'm trying to get on and on and on. It's that cycle, right? That's who I am. That's who I have always struggled to be. I am the person that even when I'm home, even you know, even when I am not under certain restrictions that I have to get done or deadlines that I have to meet, I always have excuses why I can't spend quality time with my kids. And it really tears my heart out if I allow myself to stop and think about all the time that I could have spent being a better parent, but I ended up spending it being a better landscaper at my house or a better farmer taking care of animals at my house. And like I said, it tears me up because of all the things I've ever been, a firefighter, a a brother, a parent, a husband, a makeshift landscaper, a hobby farmer, on and on and on. What I truly want to be good at, what I truly want to leave a legacy at is two things, and that is being a father and being a husband. And to be completely transparent, those are always the two things that I struggle most being good at. And I don't understand that. I don't get it. I hate it. But I I somehow broke out of that the past few days, and I took some time to swim with my son. And I saw how happy that made him, which even makes it harder on me that I haven't done that. Just taking 30 minutes to swim with my son. Seriously, I've got a swimming pool in the backyard of my house, but I spend more time maintaining it for honestly for him because nobody else is even in our youngest daughter, who is the second youngest, so the next older or the next youngest from him, she spends some time in it still, but that's literally it. Nobody else spends time in that pool. But I will spend more time maintaining it for one or two kids than I will with that one child who wants to spend it with me. And I don't know why that has always been so hard for me to just stop and be intentional with a little bit of time. Uh, I'm not saying that I've never done anything in that area. I've tried to be intentional with, okay, stopping and playing basketball with either him or my daughter, stopping or playing catch with either those two or my oldest son, because he played baseball for a little bit. I've never been great, but I haven't also been just nothing. So I try not to beat myself up much, because honestly, I if I allow myself to, I can, and rightfully so. But I can't allow that to happen, because it will truly have a negative effect on the future me, the future husband, the future dad that I am. I've really got to minimize that, even if it is a picture that could easily suck me into that hole. I haven't been perfect, absolutely, but I also haven't been a, a complete deadbeat dad. I guess I will say that. That that's hard for me to even say, but I can't allow myself to think that. I have obviously missed a lot of opportunities, like so many of us have, so many of us do constantly. But when I do have good times, which turn into great days, it makes it so hard to think about those times that I miss, because it it doesn't require much. I mean, I literally was in the pool with him the past couple days, probably, I don't know, an hour at the most, probably not even that each day. But I could tell those times meant so much to him. He even asked, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but this is one of these moments where, if you've ever listened or read the book Wild at Heart, he talks about moments that you can't miss in your kids' lives. And it's usually little questions that they ask that lead to, something deeply personal inside. And when we miss these moments, when we either ignore these questions or we don't answer these questions truly with our heart, like they want us to answer them, it's it's very hurtful for them. But he asked me, Daddy, do you really have fun with me when we're out here? And I'm so thankful that I started, listening to that book again here lately, and hearing that part of that book of truly making sure you catch those moments. Because when he asked that, I felt myself stop, so that I made sure to answer that question to him and make sure he knew, yes, I love spending time with you. I love playing pool basketball with you. I enjoy being with you, because he obviously needed to hear it, because that is exactly word for word what he asked me. So I knew he needed me to tell him that. And I'm so thankful that I not only put myself in a situation for him to ask, but I was also able to see it coming, and to allow myself to stop and truly take advantage of that situation to answer the question for him, and to allow myself to answer it in a way that truly meant so much to him to hear. And so those were big, big wins for me, even though, again, it was really nothing. It was 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour at the most of just one-on-one time with him and I in the pool swimming and playing basketball, which he loves. Trying my best to not ever let him beat me at anything because he is such a mouthy little jerk. But it's just who he is. He loves competing. He is he is the most just confident little kid that I've ever seen. I don't think there's anything that he can't, in his mind at least, be awesome at. So I try very hard to humble him every once in a while, or every chance I get, honestly, because he needs a little bit of balance in that area. But it was great. It didn't take much of anything. And truly, I wanted to do it also because of how hard he has worked lately, how hard he has worked to help us, how hard he has worked to overcome some things. He's really struggled this year, especially at school. He's been in trouble so much, just over and over again. We had to pull him out of basketball, which killed him, which killed me probably even more because I want him to have that. But was he gave me no option. He gave me absolutely no option as a parent but to take him out of basketball for how he was acting. And so it's been so great to enjoy those times, these good times with him. So anyway, I just wanted to share this, and this is way, way longer than I ever wanted it to be, and I apologize for that. If you are still listening, you probably need something out of what I'm saying, and I'm thankful for those people still listening. I know there are a lot that aren't, and that's fine. Those who are, like I said, there's something you need to hear. And if I was able to share any of what I shared and add a little value to your life or add a little just something that you needed today, I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful even if that's one person. I'm thankful to be running off all the other, you know, two or three listeners, the dozen or two listeners that really didn't care for this message, if it does mean one person does. So if you're still listening, I'm so thankful for your time and your attention. For those that I lost along the way, I hope that I can say something more meaningful for your life next time. That is always my true goal, is just to find something to say, something to share, to add value to others. So hopefully next time I can catch you and add something to your life. But again, thank you to all the fathers out there. Thank you to my father out there. I will be hopefully in touch with him this morning to share some love with him. I love you all. I'm so thankful for all the great fathers out there. Keep doing the hardest job that anybody has ever done. There are people, little people, big people, whatever, that are depending on you. If you're a true father, a biological father, thank you. If you are a foster father, thank you. If you're a vicarious father and you are just being a father because you choose to be a father. You have no ties to these little people. Thank you, because you may be the only thing that these little people have. And the fact that you are being a father and you don't even have to be, that is amazing. And I'm so thankful for you. Thank you for everything you've done. And most of all, thank you to our Heavenly Father. I'm so thankful for the path that He has given me, that He has blessed me with, that He has placed me on. And I know that your path is just as important. And so I thank you for that. Thank you so much for walking on that path with me. And really, that's all I got to say. That's way more than I was hoping to say, but I appreciate your time. I hope that you'll be just as likely to listen more next time. And I'm hoping to get some more friends to come on with me so it's not just me. But until next time, like always, stay humble and do work. Thank you.